Колеги, доброго дня. Український кризовий медіа-центр продовжує.
Ukrainian UCMC continues its work, and the topic of the next briefing is the international activity of the National Guards of Ukraine. Our speakers are the Deputy Head of International Activity of the National Guards of Ukraine, Volodymyr Grabchak. Oops. Good afternoon, esteemed colleagues. Thank you for this opportunity to inform you about the international activities of the National Guards of Ukraine. As the representative of the organization on international activity, I would like to say that international cooperation is one of the major directions of activities of the National Guards of Ukraine. Today, taking into account the difficult situation in the country and the challenges that Ukraine faces, the support and assistance of international agencies is of importance for Ukraine and for the National Guards of Ukraine. The main efforts of the international cooperation are directed towards towards existing activities, and this is about the cooperation with similar agencies of other countries, and also we are looking at different international activities and events. The main directions of international activities is development and deepening of the cooperation with the formations which have similar structure in European countries and in the world in the sphere of exchange of best practices, cooperation with organizations of European Union, NATO, Organization of United Nations, as on the topics which are under the responsibility of the National Guard of Ukraine. Also, implementation of the international technical assistance of Ukraine to Ukraine in accordance to the standards of EU and NATO. Coordination of activities as to participation of the National Guard in international exercises. And the National Guard is the military formation with law enforcement functions, and we are interested in trainings of military and law enforcement nature. Also, organization of exercises and qualification development in the educational establishments, institutions of foreign countries in accordance to European Union and NATO standards. Also, assistance in improvement of language training, which is the requirement of our times, and one more direction of work which is related to the current situation is coordination of the activities as to sending the National Guard servicemen that were wounded during the military actions, sending them abroad for medical treatment and rehabilitation. I would like also to mention international projects which are being implemented in the National Guards. In the process of building up the National Guard, we are implementing the best practices from the similar foreign formations, the countries of European Union, the US, and in the future this will help develop the trust to the National Guard of Ukraine from the population. In 2013, 2014, we had two large international twinning projects. We implemented them together with the National Guard, Gendarmerie of France and Romania. One of the important results of these projects was drafting the law on the National Guard of Ukraine that included very important recommendations provided by European experts. One of the results of these projects was initiation of the joint project with Gendarmerie of Romania. We were implementing it in 2014-2015, and it was about strengthening institutional capacity of the National Guard of Ukraine. That project was funded by the government of Romania, and in the result of that project, we are working on creation of the mountainous unit of the National Guard, which will be operating in mountainous areas, especially in places where there are different resort institutions. Besides, we are negotiating with the Romanian side to launch another bilateral project, which will be the logical continuation of the project that has been implemented. Now this project is being approved in the government of Romania, in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Also, we are not stopping on, we are not limited to European projects only. We prepared and submitted to the Representative Office of European Commission in Ukraine the proposals on starting the third twinning project, which is on improving the activities of the special purpose units and units in the sphere of ensuring public order and public security and fighting the crime. But unfortunately, we have received a letter from the Representative Office of European Commission in Ukraine as to rejecting of that project, and they did not give us any reasons why they rejected the project, even though this project was approved with the monitoring mission of European Union. This is the third refusal in 2 years. One of important projects which has been initiated and we started implementing it, it's the project of including the system of physical and nuclear security of Ukraine into the structure of ensuring global nuclear security, with the assistance of the US government via the Agency on Reducing Threats of the Ministry of Defense of the US. We launched the project in the sphere of nuclear security. The objective of that project is creating the comprehensive program of physical nuclear security and ensuring the readiness of the reaction forces for Ukraine, response forces for Ukraine. One of the tasks of the National Guard of Ukraine is to provide security for nuclear facilities, nuclear materials, and nuclear power plants. The cost of that project is $16 million. And as part of the projects, we will purchase equipment for physical security. We will be training personnel in the sphere of physical security. We will modernize and upgrade these facilities.
Системи фізичного захисту.
and also will organize trainings. This project will be implemented within 3 years, from 2015 to 2019. I would like to also talk about large-scale project which was implemented with the support of the US government for the money from the Reserve Fund of Security, Global Security Fund. This is joint Ukrainian American exercise Fearless Guardian 2015 that were held from April to November 2015, that involved the units of the National Guard of Ukraine and of the land forces of the armed forces of the United States of America. That project is to enhance the capacity of the National Guard of Ukraine to ensure domestic security and counteraction of external threats. The exercises were held in 3 stages. Each of the stages lasted for 8 weeks. During the whole period of that exercise, 745 National Guard servicemen participated in the training.
During those exercises, also upon the completion of the official completion of those training session, the commandment of the National Guards repeatedly mentioned that the National Guards are ready to continue the mutual beneficial cooperation in the sphere of the exchange of experience in a similar format like that. In other words, continuation of training of our National Guards in international exercises, in involvement of our National Guards with our counterparts from foreign countries involved in the armed forces of Ukraine. This kind of training exercises allowed us to understand that it is necessary to continuously prepare or train our personnel, and we need some kind of training centers to do that. Also, we need today to further develop our training centers specifically meant for the National Guards of Ukraine, one of which is situated not far from Kiev in the populated area. Regarding the further development of this training center, we also approached the Prime Minister of Ukraine with this request, and Mr. Yatsenyuk, I will put it this way, promised to support us in the further development of this training center, and that he was going to provide the financial assistance to us. So we do rely upon this kind of support. Also, National Guards or reps of the National Guards of Ukraine make part of the multinational Ukrainian-American Joint Coordination Committee on the issues of military cooperation and defense reform, together with the representatives of the armed forces of Ukraine. Today, part of this joint committee, we have both representatives of the armed forces of Ukraine, the armed forces of the United States. Also involved today are representatives of the Great Britain, Lithuania, and Canada. This committee works according to different directions in the military and defense spheres. It is specifically within the framework of the activities of this joint committee. They take care of the resolving the issues pertaining to the joint or common activities, common exercises, and providing the necessary assistance on the part of the countries which are involved in this project. I'm talking about the assistance given to the specific sphere of Ukraine in order to increase the capability, meaning the protection of the national security and territorial integrity of Ukraine. Also, we have another committee where we cooperate with National Guards from California, which is our counterpart, or let's say the and similar structure, judging by the functions they carry out. Also, the National Guards of Ukraine, as a component of the national security of Ukraine, participates in the different initiatives and programs within the framework of our cooperation with the North Atlantic Treaty. Also, this is an annual program which is annually approved by the President of Ukraine. This program also contains one of the sections dedicated to the further development of the National Guards of Ukraine. And again, on an annual basis, we come up with our proposals, what has to be done in order to get closer or to meet the NATO standards, because we are talking about the military sphere here. And on each quarter, we report about the implementation of all those measures and steps which have been scheduled, and we already came up with our proposals for the next year, 2016. Also, this year, we resumed the activities of Ukraine. We are talking about the planning and the assessment of our armed forces. The National Guards also participates in this program in the process of planning, and for the National Guards, we have been set two major objectives of partnership. Number one is defense planning for the National Guards of Ukraine, and number two, another partnership objective is further building of the integrity, transparency in our fight and different risks we may face. Those are two major objectives set for us in order to achieve our compatibility and interoperability with the leading structures of the leading member states of NATO. Besides, the National Guards of Ukraine closely cooperates with the NATO office, liaison office in Ukraine, and we participate in different measures organized and arranged by the NATO liaison office. Specifically speaking, we are talking about the program for development of the civil personnel. Also, in this NATO liaison office, or in this office, we have the Trust Fund NATO personnel, and those funds were organized in order to provide assistance to the armed forces of Ukraine and also structures of the security and defense sector of Ukraine. And representatives of the National Guards of Ukraine closely cooperate within the framework, within the limits of those trust funds for logistics, for medical and psychological rehabilitation of the servicemen, and the trust fund on the issues of communications, management, control, the top echelon of commandment. In addition to our participation in different projects and their international programs, the National Guards further develops its bilateral cooperation with the similar structures such as the National Guards. And I would like to draw attention to that, because according to the law of Ukraine, the National Guards is the military formation with the law enforcement functions. So today we cooperate closely with our similar structures in the European countries, like the National Gendarmerie of France, Gendarmerie of Romania, and the Carabiniers of the Italian Republic. We cooperate in order to exchange our experience. We are talking pertaining to the combat activities, training and skills upgrading for the servicemen and the civil personnel of the National Guards, in order to further improve their abilities and capabilities. We directly contact with the Romanian Gendarmerie, and we sent our National Guards to the training centers Zikuri and Roshun. Also with the French Gendarmerie, our servicemen goes through the training and then the skills upgrading training in their training centers. This year we reached an agreement regarding further activation of our cooperation with our Italian counterparts, Caribbeaners, and we reached the agreement regarding the preparation both the units and servicemen for the national security measures. In next July, we are going to start to implement those agreed upon measures. Also, we received a signal regarding the launching of our cooperation with the Armed Forces of Poland, and we are going to start implementation of those agreed upon measures this December and continue next year. Also, we are involved in negotiations with Germany and the United States. Servicemen of the National Guards of Ukraine take part in the peacekeeping formations, and today our National Guards are involved in some international operations, peacekeeping operation security measures in Cyprus, South Sudan, Liberia, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. Over the last year, the National Guards of Ukraine carried out over 100 the different measures within the bounds of international cooperation. Separately, I would like to say the very important component is treatment of the wounded persons in foreign countries, which became possible with our international support with the NATO International Office and volunteer organizations and the MFA of Ukraine. Also, our servicemen undergo treatment in such countries as Lithuania, Poland, Slovenia, Greece, Germany, Greece, Poland, and the United States. Also, we plan to continue those measures further on. Taking this opportunity, I would like to thank all those who have helped and continue to help the National Guards of Ukraine regarding the possibility to treat our National Guards personnel in foreign countries. So, special thanks go to the airlines and air who actually provide free of charge possibility for our guards to fly to foreign countries to undergo medical treatment there. Also would like to thank the public NGO Dobrovolets, which is volunteer, who provides the comprehensive assistance in order to make it possible for us to develop international cooperation with different international organizations the world over. Every time when I participate in, or we participate in some international functions, we always emphasize that National Guards of Ukraine is always open and prepared for the constructive cooperation with the military and the law enforcement agencies and structures, both on bilateral and multilateral basis, together with our armed forces and other structures of the Center of Defense of Ukraine. Thank you very much for your presentation. Unfortunately, we do not have time for questions. Thank you very much again, and see you again.